Dear students of class 8A and 8B, welcome to this history class. The points of the following lesson, Revolt of 1857, mentioned in the board are as follows. Economic exploitations, conditions of peasants and zamindars, destruction of traditional handicraft industries, drain of wealth, and annexation of Ayodhya. First point, economic exploitation. Economic exploitation. Economic exploitation was the most important cause of the revolt of 1857. The British completely transformed the traditional economic structure of the regional states into a structure that was more beneficial to them. This created bitterness among the exploited peasants and farmers. Economic exploitation was important for the Britishers since they wanted to make money by hook or by crook. They realized that they must earn money from Indian peasants and farmers and should allow other Britishers to do it who already had come from England to trade with our country. As a result, that economic exploitation took place. Next point, conditions of peasants and zamindars. Due to economic exploitation, peasants and farmers faced a lot of problems. Peasants were exploited by the zamindars, and zamindars also sometimes were exploited by the British. Moreover, money lenders also were there. Money lenders, they lent money to the peasants and farmers with high interests. As a result, the peasants and farmers could not pay the high land revenues to the British. Moreover, famines, droughts, this kind of natural disasters sometimes took place. And during that crisis period, they could not pay their, land revenues to the British, but the British would pressurize them to do it so. Ultimately, they had to go to the money lenders and they would lend money from them at the cost of their agricultural lands. Ultimately, they could not pay it back and would become landless peasants and farmers. So this created a lot of resentment against the British. And next one, destruction of traditional handicraft industries. The machine-made goods which were produced from England flooded the large market of India. The British decided to capture the large market of India. The machine-made goods were produced bulk in quantities. That's why the handmade goods could not compete with it. Moreover, the machine-made goods were superior in qualities and very less in price. That's why it was that's why it sold in the market like hotcakes, and the local weavers could not compete with them. Their economic condition worsened as they could not earn a livelihood through their trade. And as a result of it, the traditional handicraft industries were ruined. British manufactured goods which flooded the large market of India. Peasants, farmers, they all became landless people. On the contrary, artisans, craftsmen, they all had lost their jobs due to destruction of small-scale industries, destruction of handicapped industries. And next point, drain of wealth. The British paid salaries to the British officials borne by India. That means they collected revenues from this country, India, and spent it in paying salaries to the British officials. Moreover, Indians were paid less amount of salaries, but the Britishers, they were paid higher salaries. Why? Because they belong to England. That's why the Britishers had sympathy for them, but they had no sympathy and love for the Indians, because they considered Indians to be inferior, but the Britishers to be superior. That's why they had no sympathy, no love for the Indian people. And almost all Indian people, whether they were able to shoulder many responsibilities, they were less paid. Why? Because they were native people. The remuneration given to the British officers, both in civil and administrative, were borne by India. The company's forces and residents, were paid higher salaries, and all of these payments were made from the revenue collected from the Indians, resulting in the extremely high rate of taxation, which became a great factor for the peasants and farmers. When Ayodhya was annexed, annexation of Ayodhya, when Ayodhya was annexed, the estates of the talukdars and zamindars were confiscated. All the properties of the talukdars and zamindars were confiscated, especially when Ayodhya was annexed by the British. And not only that, the annexation of more and more Indian states resulted in dismantling of courtly life and administration of the regional kingdoms. Because of that reason, the other regional kingdoms cared of their conditions, and they decided to make a good understanding with the Britishers in order to avoid being annexed by them. But still, the British started annexing a number of Indian states. This led to a large-scale unemployment and economic distress towards the country. The resentment among the Indian rulers, the rulers and whose rules also were neglected by the Britishers, the states which were annexed by the British, their resentment reached headquarters England, and the British East India Company headquarters England decided to give some concessions to the Indian rulers, but temporarily, by changing Governor General one after one. The Governor General who was sent in place of the previous one, he remained silent for few years, and later on he got back to his own place, and another one would come and adopted the same technique, same method, the economic exploitation for the Indian people. And this led to large scale resentment among the Indians, among the Indian rulers. Many talukdars, many zamindars who lost their jobs because of the properties confiscated by the British, led to widespread discontentment. And these were the reasons, my dear students, the revolt of 1857 was inevitable, and this section of people extended their cooperation towards the Sepoys. The Sepoys expected more and more cooperation from them, but not all group of zamindars, talukdars became active. A very less number of talukdars and zamindars extended their cooperation towards the Sepoys during the Sepoy mutiny, and rest of them, they remained neutral because they wanted to avoid a clash between themselves and the Britishers. Because they knew in the long run the British would be able to crush the revolt of 1857. That's why they remained silent, they remained neutral and could not cooperate with the Sepoys. As a result, the Sepoys could not gain profit from them, could not gain any kind of cooperation from them. But a very small number of talukdars and zamindars cooperated with them. Moreover, the last Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar II agreed to lead the Sepoy mutiny, the revolt of 1857. And ultimately what happened? The Sepoy mutiny under the leadership of Bahadur Shah Zafar II was crushed by the British. But these are not my points. Next day I shall discuss about other points, other causes of the revolt of 57. Today I discuss about the economic causes. Next day I shall discuss about social and religious causes. Up to this, my dear students. Thank you.